Hey now, everybody, we're just coming out of this like a shotgun wedding. No intro today, probably because I forgot. How do you like that? Anybody hear me? Anybody with me right now? I know I'm by myself doing this live. Was hoping there'd be some other people up in this chat. What we got? Anybody? There he is. Kramer's up in here. Yeah, like I said, a little bit of a shotgun start. Totally forgot to make the intro. Oh, well, maybe we'll do it for the podcast version here. Good to see you, Kramer, as always, holding it down. I can always rely on Kramer. It's weird not having the intro, though. I kind of already feel a little bit off, so maybe I'll sing it a little bit. Dun, 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 do, 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 do. On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, this dumbass you're looking at is going to lay down some Maul Shadow Lord predictions and what fans want to see, hope to see in Season 1, which is kicking off April 6th. That's Monday, people. A first for a Disney series. So yeah, I'm all out of it. I had a great weekend in New York City this past weekend, and it was awesome. No complaints. Can't even complain about the travel, but I will tell you, for whatever reason, it's got me kind of spazzed out for the work week here. I'm just, things are not flowing the way I like them to flow, if that makes sense for everybody here. So I don't even know what the hell I'm doing right now. I don't even know what I'm doing. No, I did not go to opening day for the Yanks, Kramer. This was a trip for my daughter who's about to turn 10. So we did a lot of the touristy stuff. We did the Statue of Liberty, although I don't know if it really stands for what it used to stand for. We went to Ellis Island. Again, in these days and times, does that stuff even matter? But we did that. So we did the statue. We did Ellis Island. We did the Empire State Building. We did the Museum of Modern Art. We did a Broadway show, went and saw Stranger Things, which was awesome. If you're a fan of Stranger Things, highly recommend catching the play, which I think you can only see in NYC or London. But it was amazing. I'm not really a theater guy. I haven't done much Broadway or plays in general in my life. But I just found it to be epic. I mean, the special effects alone were worth the experience. I mean, it was a spectacle, to say the least. What else we get done? We went to the Museum of Natural History, where Night at the Museum was filmed. Didn't get to see the exact locations, but I did find Rex and found some homages to Teddy Roosevelt. So that was fun as well. I was hoping some more people would be in here right now, but hey, that's the SWTS for you. Hey, look who it is. Just as I speak, we've got the long-lost Bango, who now seems to work every Wednesday night instead of supporting my dumbass on YouTube. But we speak his name. Glad he's here, tuning in on the job. So it's going to be a fun show. I mean, this is prep. We're pre-gaming for Maul Shadow Lord, right? I mean, it's only a few days away. We've been talking about it for years now, but the time is nigh. We've got my man Maul kicking off his own series, 4/6. I'm guessing they're going to release the episodes at 9 p.m. East. I don't know. And like I said, we've never really had a Monday Disney Star Wars show drop, or really any Disney show for that matter. So I think the reason Disney's doing this and Lucasfilm is because releasing it on a Monday will actually take them to May the 4th to end the first season of Maul Shadow Lord, which is also on a Monday here. We'll see how it plays out. But if I were a betting man, I'd say episodes 1 and 2 of Maul Shadow Lord probably release around 9 p. East on 4/6. So I'll be tuning in, watching them back to back, taking notes, turning on closed captioning so I don't miss anything, don't miss any names or alien pronunciations or locations, although I believe we'll just be sticking to Janix for a good part of this series. Maybe you might see some other planets or locations via flashbacks, but I think the main part of the show is going to be centered on Janix, which is a new planet, untouched by the Empire, as they've been teasing here. So we'll see how it plays out. I still don't know how I'm going to do my personal breakdowns. You know how when there's a new Star Wars show in season, Nick and I will always do a live on Wednesday, 6 p. East, or as close as we can get, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. But I tend to like to break them down, put out a longer form video, and then cut up some shorts from that. So I got to decide if I'm going to fuck up my Tuesday mornings, which have been fantastic so far, get my ass up, hit the gym, shower up, shave up, get ready for the workday, start teaching around noon, and then you never know where a day can take me, especially with all the distractions we have in the world right now. I'm trying to learn a new AI. I'm thinking about switching over to Claude, so I've been dumping a lot of time in that, porting things over from ChatGPT. I'm essentially trying to transplant my brain from ChatGPT into Cloud. So I don't know. I'd say at the latest, you'll get my full breakdowns of the Maul episodes sometime Wednesday afternoon. But knowing me, I'm probably going to get my ass up early Tuesdays, get it done, and just move my workouts on Tuesday to later in the afternoon. All right. Hey, look at this. We got average construction donkey. I like that. A construction donkey. I'm digging it. They're saying, I hope this show will be better. After all, the witch has finally left Lucasfilms. Let's not blame KK for all the problems. Bob Iger was the one shooting down a lot of movies. He's the one that canceled the Ben Solo movie. Not saying that would have been good, but I think KK takes a few too many lumps on the chin. She does own some responsibility for sequel trilogy decisions. I'll give you that. But I have a feeling this Maul series should kick ass. If you've done any research on it, it's been confirmed. Filoni's like, hey, I'm trying to honor what George Lucas wanted to do with Maul post Clone Wars. So hopefully we get to see some of that. But that's what I'm here for today. I'm here to break down what's going on in Maul, what fans want to see, but what I'm going to predict is actually going to happen. So it's two different things. It's what us fans probably want to see, which we probably won't get, but then also laying down some predictions on things that I think we will see. Like the donkey saying here, it would be an epic failure to make a Maul series sucky. I just don't know how it's going to happen. I mean, some of the spots they've been putting out over the past few days have just been absolutely dark and epic. I love the one today where all you hear Maul is, he's kind of doing Chirrut's mantra from Rogue One, but the dark side version, where he's saying, I'm the master. What the hell was it? Hold on. Let me pull this up. Let's just check this out real quick, because this is probably my favorite little trailer we've gotten so far for the Maul series here. I am the master of the Force. The Force serves me. I am the master of the Force. The Force serves me. I am the master of the Force, and the Force serves me. Which, like I said, is the counter to Chirrut's I am one with the Force. The Force is with me. So I love that take on it, and it's perfect that Maul is the dark side character to introduce us to that. So lots of good promos for Maul Shadow Lord. Hoping the series pays off. So we'll get there. We're totally going to get there. I'll give you some predictions. I'll give you some things that fans are wanting to see, but probably won't see. Because even when it's a Filoni show, or, guys that literally, Filoni is George Lucas's chosen one. He is the true successor. I mean, George has tapped him many, many years ago to work on Clone Wars, and then we all know what happened from there. So this thing should be a banger. Before I get into that, though, we got a few changes here. We're not doing Ask Us Anything for the time being, but I did pick up on some Star Wars news pieces here. You know what I mean? I mean, there's always time for Star Wars time, as the banner says. So we might as well celebrate it. We got some news on Zero Company. That's the game coming out hopefully this year. Although the fact that we haven't got a release date yet leads me to believe that this might be another delayed AAA video game. Seems to be how that whole industry operates these days. But we got a little story coming out from PC Gamer. It seems the gaming media has been getting access to playable builds of Star Wars Zero Company. This is a game we've been talking about for a few years now that's essentially supposed to be Star Wars XCOM. If you've ever played that real-time strategy game, hopefully that explanation makes sense. But hey, Kramer, stick around and listen. You know, Kramer's saying, I just want Fallen Jedi 3. A lot of the stuff I'm reading about Zero Company is it's not just an XCOM clone. I mean, this article here from PC Gamer, here's the title. Star Wars Zero Company is more than just Star Wars XCOM. It feels like Mass Effect, but with turn-based tactics and permadeath. And the same outlet has also described it to feeling a bit like Jedi Fallen Order. So that's got me pretty excited. I mean, we're getting a lot more screens coming out for this game. I have not seen any gameplay yet. But, you know, if you check out some of these screens here, they're looking pretty saucy. You know, this is going to be set, I believe, Clone Wars, a bit after Clone Wars. You're going to have a squad. There is going to be permadeath, but it is going to have kind of that strategic gameplay that you might be familiar with from XCOM, which I think is going to be pretty freaking cool because I've not played any game like this for quite some time. I'd say Gears of War Tactics, or whatever that was called, might have been the last game I played this way. But I dig this genre of game, and then having it set in Star Wars, and the fact that, you know, some of these gaming media are already describing it as Mass Effect like or Jedi Fallen Order like, leads me to believe it's going to be more than just what you're seeing on the stream here. It's going to be more than just the tactical gameplay. You're going to be going back to hubs. You're going to be talking to characters. You could lose characters permanently, so you know that carries over from permadeath. Kramer's asking, what's permadeath? Well, brother, it's permadeath. If you have a character that in your squad that you've leveled up to like 50 and it dies in a mission, that character's gone. There's no reviving it. You lose them permanently from your stable of characters. Yeah, you know, average construction donkey, you're not wrong. I guess I'm a bit older. I did used to be in the gaming media when I ran Entertainment Buddha, and AAA was kind of the buzzword here. And you are right. A lot of these big games, you know, the studios, the developers, the publishers, they promise the world, and then when they deliver the game, it usually doesn't live up to the hype. But what I'm reading so far, it sounds like Star Wars Zero Company is going to be a hit. The Mass Effect mentions alone kind of have me even more excited about this game. So I'm not going to go here and read through the whole article for you. This isn't story time. Go get your daddy, get in the bed, and have him read the article to you. But PC Gamer has a whole bunch of coverage on Zero Company after they got some hands on it. And the game does come from Bit Reactor. So if you like that studio, you've appreciated some of their past games, then you're probably going to dig Zero Company. Let's just cross our fingers, though, that this thing actually releases in 2026 like it was supposed to. Because, like I said, the fact that there's been no posted release day yet, and we're approaching the halfway point of the year already. Yes, I said that. We're already almost halfway into 2026. We just rolled into April. So 2 months away from the halfway mark. So good stuff there on Zero Company. And then the other little newsy item I want to touch on before I get into the Maul Shadow Lord fan wants and predictions. Got a little tease on the Mando and Grogu movie. I'm pulling up the article over on Bespin Bulletin. I don't think they're the ones that broke this. I believe this came from Odeon over in the UK. It's like a theater chain. Who knows? It doesn't really matter. What matters are the details. But according to Bespin Bulletin, Star Wars The Mandalorian and Grogu will feature a dogfight to end all dogfights with some characters you probably would not expect. And you're asking, hey, Matt, what the hell are you talking about? What characters are you talking about? Well, apparently, we've learned through some leaks or whatnot that there's going to be a character in here. I believe this bald guy right here, you can see, it looks like he's in that arena scene that we've seen from the trailers, you know, where they find Rhoda the Hutt. We got Grogu locked up, so yeah, I'm guessing Grogu gets captured at some point in time. I don't think Din's going to be walking around with Grogu in a birdcage. So this Lord Janu asshole apparently is a part of the Shadow Council. He's a former Imperial warlord. But according to this article, this dogfight to end all dogfights with someone going down, meaning they're going to die, it's going to be between Trapper Wolf and this Lord Janu character. And if you're not familiar with Trapper Wolf, that's Dave Filoni's New Republic pilot that we've seen in the Mandalorian series. So it sounds like Filoni got himself into the movie that Jon Favreau and himself helped to direct. And Trapper Wolf may be going down in this dogfight. Although, knowing Star Wars, it's probably going to be the bad guy going down. But I question, does anyone else listening here really think that we're going to get a dogfight to end all dogfights in Mando and Grogu between Dave Filoni's Trapper Wolf and this Lord Janu character? I don't know. You tell me. There's been multiple dogfights in the Star Wars franchise. So to claim this is going to be the granddaddy of them all, the most impressive of them all, that could be just a little bit of hype. So who knows? I do have high hopes for Mando and Grogu. I really do. I think a lot is riding on this. If this movie sucks, if it doesn't perform well at the box office, there's a good chance Disney and Lucasfilm are going to retreat from cinema again. And after the Starfighter project coming out next year in May, starring Ryan Gosling, who is basking in all the glory of Project Hail Mary, we might not be getting Star Wars movies for another 6 years. So let's all try to remain positive. Let's hope for Mando and Grogu just being a fun film, adding to the Mandoverse lore, and hopefully informing what we may see in Ahsoka Season 2, and if we ever get to Filoni's crossover Mandoverse film. I do think while Grogu and the Mando movie can be fun, like League is hoping for, I do hope it adds some lore, some narrative to this era, and better sets up the inevitable conflict we're going to get in Ahsoka Season 2. All right, so enough about that nonsense. Let's get into the good stuff here. Let's start talking about what fans want in Maul Shadow Lord versus the reality of what we're probably going to get. Okay, so again, we're going to start with what I'm calling fan wants, fan desires, things that fans would cream their jeans if they saw play out on the small screen when Shadow Lord drops on April 6th and runs through May the 4th. So we'll start with the wants. I got 9 of them. Then we'll move to the predictions, and I've got 9 of those because Clone Force 99 is in the building. Yes, I'm a toolbox, but that's why everyone comes here to watch the Star Wars Time show. Man, none of it. There we go. Hey there, Erwin Curtis. That's right. Is that launching today? The Artemis mission. This is we're sending people around the moon again for the first time in many decades. So that should be interesting. And while we're speaking of space, I just realized that For All Mankind Season 5 has dropped. I don't know if anyone's watched that, but it's, in my opinion, one of the best kind of alt history takes I've ever seen when it comes to the space program. Like I said, this is going to be its 5th season. The first episode's out there now, second episode coming later this week. And it's from, what is it? Is it Ron Moore? You know, the guy, he's done a lot of Star Trek. He's done Battlestar Galactica. And this series on Apple TV is just amazing. I love it. I mean, it's not to spoil much, but season 5, it's going to show just how much humans have started colonizing Earth. Oh, there you go, Bango. My wife and I just started Mankind's first season. Yeah, For All Mankind is a killer. It's absolutely compelling alt history stuff that kind of goes to show what would happen if humans didn't suck as much as we did. So yeah, it's very good. Construction Donkey, I don't know if you're asking how many minutes For All Mankind is. I believe the first episode's a bit around an hour. I have not watched it yet. I just watched some of the bonus content that fills the 9-year gap from season 4 to season 5. And that's the other thing with For All Mankind. There are some massive time jumps in between seasons just to kind of get us closer into the future of humanity. Hey there, Cole Cowan. Good to see you, brother. Nice to see you early in the stream. You're just in time for the Maul Shadow Lord fan wants and predictions segment. All right, so let's get to it. That's enough of For All Mankind. This is not the For All Mankind time show. This is the Star Wars time show. God damn it. So let's get to some Star Wars. All right, so like I said, we're going to go through 9 fan wants for Maul Shadow Lord. What do fans want to see? What do they want to play out? And then we'll get into 9 predictions for what I actually think is going to happen in season 1. And I keep saying season 1 with the hopes that we are getting multiple seasons of this show. I would hope that's the case. I believe there's should be more story to tell outside of 10 episodes that are probably going to be around, I'd say, typical animated show length, anywhere from 22 to 25 minutes. If you throw credits in there, maybe a half hour top. So here we go. One of the first wants that I think fans are going to be looking for in Maul Shadow Lord is a solid, concrete, and clear bridge from the Clone Wars to Solo, and then ultimately to how we find Maul in kind of a manic state in Star Wars Rebels. So I think fans, and myself included, I am a fan, want to get enough narrative in Shadow Lord that kind of sets up how Maul goes from a fallen warlord. You got to remember, I mean, he was running a Shadow Collective. Ahsoka captured him, took him off of Mandalore, and then he got away. So he kind of lost that little empire he was building up in the underworld. So we need to see in Shadow Lord how he goes from this fallen warlord to the kingpin and potential founding member of Crimson Dawn, and then maybe in future seasons how he transitions out of that to the manic, kind of loony, frantic Maul we catch up to in Rebels, where he uses Ezra to get the Sith holocron to ultimately try to exact revenge on Kenobi. So I think that's the first want here from us fans. Just give us a solid bridge. Really explain how we go from fallen warlord Maul at the end of TCW to Kingpin Crimson Dawn Maul in Solo, and then ultimately to the manic, crazed, lunatic style Maul we find in Rebels. So fan want number 2, kind of sticking with the Crimson Dawn theme here, is I think we do want to see the rise of Crimson Dawn. Not just vague hints that Crimson Dawn, or that's what Maul is working towards. And I don't know if this is going to happen, like be in our face in season 1, but some seeds should start to be sown. On Janix, what Maul's goal, I think, is to probably exact some revenge on some of his old Shadow Collective cohorts, the Pikes in particular, as we've seen from the trailers. But hopefully we get some pretty clear examples of how he's starting to form Crimson Dawn, or how he is positioning himself to take over Crimson Dawn if it's already started, and kind of be the bigwig, if you will. We do, I'm not going to say we're owed, but we do, and it would be appreciated to see how Maul does take the reins of Crimson Dawn and controls the likes of a Dryden Voss or a Kiera that we saw in Solo. So I think other fans would agree with me. We want to see some hints of Crimson Dawn, not some vague bullshit, not cryptic stuff, but like, hey, this is the organization Maul is working towards to helm and eventually control by the time we see him in Solo. Next one here, and like I said, these first 3 are all kind of tied together, but it makes sense because where we see Maul at the end of Solo, but it would be nice to see some Kiera set up. Maybe she's on Janix for a mission for those people from Corellia, those worm people that she got captured and had to work for. Maybe this is where we see her and Maul meet. Probably not going to happen in season 1, but as a fan, we can still want and hope and dream for some hints at Kira showing up in Shadow Lord to start inform the fan base on how she gets involved in Crimson Dawn in the first place. You know, because Maul clearly knows her from that solo scene. I mean, he's like, cool, you took out Dryden, sounds good to me. Now you're my number 2. And we know ultimately she becomes the leader of Crimson Dawn, which all could be covered now in this Shadow Lord series. So hopefully we get a little bit of, you know, Kira set up in Shadow Lord Season 1 or future seasons here. Next fan want, and based on the trailers, I'm pretty sure we can say this is going to be a take it to the banker here. But let's make Shadow Lord's tone pretty freaking dark, sinister, zero hope, zero light, no softness, right? We don't want a soy boy Maul. We don't want soft Maul. We want an angry, vengeful Maul. And like I said, all signs are pointing that way. I can tell. I must be sticking my thumbs up because my Mac keeps catching the symbols here. Here, we'll get some of the other animations to go. I thought double thumbs did something. I think peace sign does something too, right? No? You gonna make a liar out of me, Mac OS? Come on. You keep doing the little you keep doing the thumbs up bubble. Oh, there we go. We got some balloons. Let's do double. What are double peace signs? Yay, confetti. Woohoo. What's this one? I think this one does something too. Like the rock on. Or no. Rock on. Rock on. If you're not on the live stream, you're probably like, this guy's insane. But here we go. Yes, thank you. The focus is coming back. So, like I said, a 1 here. We don't want a pussy Maul. We don't want an emotional Maul unless his emotions are anger, revenge, vengeance, hate. I'm the master of the Force. The Force is my slave, that type of stuff, you know, back to his saying we got in this trailer. So we don't want a soft Maul. We want an angry Maul. We want a Maul that takes no prisoners, chops people's body parts off, chops people in half, heads, you know what I mean? I think we'll see kind of the slick Maul, the conniving Maul, the convincing Maul when he's working with Devin Azara, who we've seen in the trailers. But in the end, let's keep him dark. Let's keep him angry. We don't want any fluff in this series. This is a Maul series after all. This isn't the Clone Wars. This isn't Bad Batch. This isn't Rebels. It's not about the good guys. It's about the bad guys. So let's keep things bad. Kramer here coming and give me a break. Hey, Matt, question. If this does well, do you think we could potentially see a Grievous origin story? You know what? I kind of hate to promote it because I don't know how people feel about some of these AI Star Wars channels out there. But if you do want to see some of that, Kramer, there's these channels now, I think like Star Wars Chronicles or Star Wars Untold. They're not always the best, but they are making programming just like that. In fact, there is how General Grievous becomes a cyborg. And then I think a new one is like the first time Grievous becomes a cyborg and working with Dooku. I just don't think Grievous is on the same level as Maul in terms of just fan respect, fan love, fan appreciation. Grievous for the most part was limited to Revenge of the Sith for a few scenes. Obviously a few episodes in the Clone Wars, but I don't think he ever captured the fan base quite like our horned anti-hero that we see on screen right now. So I don't think that's going to happen, even if Maul Shadow Lord is a banger. All right, let's move on to the next one. What the fans want to see in Maul Shadow Lord, not what's going to happen. That's coming up next. This one actually comes from my man Nick. I know he's taking the night off right now. And speaking of Nick, we should be back doing double lives, me and Nick doing live breakdowns of Maul episode 1 and 2 next Wednesday. I'm not quite sure what time we're going to kick things off. Hopefully it's around our usual 6 p. East, or as close as we can get. But if we need to bump it up to 6:30 or 7 o'clock East, that's what we'll do, just so we can usher in young Nick to help me break down this season of Maul Shadow Lord. But anyways, there you go, people. That's to just make sure you're paying attention I did just suck down a lead-filled protein shake before coming down here to broadcast live, so you may hear some of my pre-dinner snack coming up throughout today's broadcast. Apologies. Anyways, while I'm burping, if you're new here, why don't you consider subbing to the channel? It's free, doesn't cost you a thing. Go ahead down below, click on that sub button, turn on notifications, like this video. More importantly, leave some comments. These days, as in all days, YouTube hates us, so we always appreciate if you can juice those algos for us. But anyways, this next one here coming from my man Young Nick, he's wanting an Ahsoka cameo. And I don't blame him. I mean, if we think about how the Clone Wars ends, Ahsoka and Maul are kind of tied together a little bit. I mean, they had quite the hubbubaloo on Mandalore, that duel they had. But before that, you got to remember, Maul tried to woo her to his side and knew what was going to happen with Palpatine and Anakin. But because of her love for Anakin, she could not see Maul's truth and kind of turned him down. So it wouldn't be... That's right, League. Show everyone what you get if you become a channel member, not just a subscriber, but if you become a channel member, you get those kick-ass looking Vader cats next to your name and YouTube chats and access to custom emojis. Like, there we go. Kramer's throwing them out too. He knows how to work it here. So here's how I could see a potential Ahsoka cameo, because you got to think of this at this point in time. She's in hiding. You know, we know she went to Padme's funeral, then had to disappear. And the last time we saw her in Tales of the Jedi, she was kind of, you know, like the screenshot implies, she was on that. There we go. Bango's ripping off the custom emojis too. She was on like this farm community, just kind of laying low, hiding out, and then the 11th brother shows up there and destroys it, and she ultimately kills him. But I could see, especially, you know, the Maul connection, you know, maybe Devin or Iko Diodaki, Jedi Master Iko Diodaki, maybe reaching out to her, some sort of hologram, you know, HoloNet type of connection. I think this fan one is very unlikely, but I would not be disappointed if we got to see Lady Tano pop up, even just in a communication in Shadow Lord. So I think it is a fair want indeed. Keep ripping off those custom emojis, and you know what I mean. I hear you, people. I hear you. I hear you, those asking for a custom Maul for this season. I have it written down. I will do my best to get it ready for next week. All right. So that's a promise to all channel members for the Maul Shadow Lord season 1 breakdowns, live breakdowns, that is, with myself and Young Nick. I will replace our Sith Xeno or Emperor Xeno emoji with a custom Maul emoji for you all to use. Lee coming in here with an astute point on the Ahsoka cameo. If Maul is playing Mob Boss, I don't see Ahsoka appearing. And that's kind of how I feel. Like I said, I think the only avenue for her to even have just a communications-based cameo, maybe even an old recorded message, would be via Devin and Iko Diodaki. You know, that maybe them listening to something she told surviving Jedi, or them trying to contact her to ask questions about Maul. But I think this one, while a decent fan one, and no fan would be disappointed, I think it's very unlikely. All right, next fan want here, and you know, we met the Inquisitors, I believe. Where'd they show up in Star Wars Rebels? I think that's where they were first introduced. Where you know, we got the Grand Inquisitor, and then the 5th brother, the 7th sister, things like that, 9th sister. They tend to end up being cannon fodder type of characters. They don't really talk much outside of the Grand Inquisitor. They don't really affect the heroes too much. So in Maul Shadow Lord, like I really want, we know Marok and we know the 11th brother are going to be included. I don't know if we're going to get any more. But I want them to be legit characters. I want them to talk. I want them to have an impact. I want them to give Maul problems. I want them to give Janix problems. I want them to give Devin and Master Iko Diodaki problems. You know, not just, you know, cool looking characters that don't say much and, you know, flip their little pinwheel lightsabers around and disappear. Like I want them, and it does. I think we're gonna get it just based on some of the trailers. I think we are gonna, we're gonna see Marok interrogating Captain Brander Lawson and maybe messing with the security forces on Janix. So let's just not make them mushy. I'm gonna have some predictions that might kind of counteract this fan want. But I think we can still get some rough and tough Inquisitor action, given Maul problems, given, Root Cast problems, Icarus and Scorch problems. These are all Maul's compatriots that we're going to meet in Shadow Lord. Let's make them real. Maybe even let them kill one of Maul's compatriots. Let them take down Icarus, the other Zabrak, or Scorch, another Zabrak. So we just don't want them to be squishy in Maul Shadow Lord. All right, the next one here, and this one's revolving around the Jedi character Devin Azara, who, some of us are speculating she could potentially be filling the shoes of Darth Talon. This could be paying off on what Georgie Boy wanted for the sequel trilogy, where Maul would have been the big bad and his number 2 would have been Darth Talon. So I don't think it's a stretch to make that comparison, considering that Dave and the creators of Shadow Lord were like, hey, yeah, let's include a potential apprentice for Maul that's a Twi'lek. I mean, I think that's very purposeful, why they created this Devin Azara character. And the one I have here for Devin is, let's get some of her backstory. Let's learn about why she might be motivated to work with Maul, or eventually even join Maul and truly become his apprentice, or his number 2, his weapon, as he says in the trailer. What would lead her to that? What happened during Order 66 for her? What has happened since Order 66 for her that could motivate her to make that decision? We see what we all think is her master, Iko Diodaki, telling her like, hey, yeah, I know Maul hates the Empire. We hate the Empire. But you gotta understand, Maul he's a bad dude. He's a bad mofo, as Sam Jackson would say. So, let's learn what may be informing her motivations to even consider working with Maul, because we at least have seen in the trailers he makes a pitch to her to like, hey, let's go, common enemy, the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of stuff. So why would she even consider working with Maul, not just trying to take him out? I mean, she ends up helping him fight Marok, as we've seen from the trailer. So why is that? What happened to her? Or what is Maul able to do to kind of get into her head to even possibly motivate her to work with him? All right. Next one here, and this is kind of one I would like to see. Let's see an old, not a team up, but a reunion between Maul and his former master Palpatine. If you believe some of the Legends canon out there, Legends canon, that doesn't work, idiot. That's an oxymoron. But if you've read some of the Legends stuff, I mean, apparently Palpatine was working on Maul ever since Maul was a child, taking him away from Talzin and just kind of turning him into that dark side animal that we first meet in The Phantom Menace. So I would love to see an exchange between these two, even if it's, Palpatine broadcasting and kind of harassing Maul and teasing him, antagonizing him. That would work for me. But I'd love for these two to have a little chat, even if it's over the hollows. It's not going to be in person. We know at this point in time, Palpatine is not going to be doing the dirty work on his own, like we saw him do in the Clone Wars, where he literally leaves Coruscant to take on Maul and Savage after he's starting to realize, like, oh shit, my former apprentice, he's back and he's starting to cause enough of a ruckus that he could screw up my master plan of turning the Republic into a galactic empire. So I'd love to see these two kind of, at least over the hollows, talk a little shit to each other. Or hell, they don't even have to use the hollows. Maybe we'll get some of the Force walkie-talkie stuff that was introduced in the sequel trilogy here. Matthew, hold on, there you go. Matthew Short 4466. Yeah, I think us wanting the Dark Maul is going to pay off, as the trailers have shown. It just depends on, how soft he gets with Devin to kind of get into her mind and convince her to do some heinous shit, more than likely. But there is a clip where, as Matthew's saying, he pulls like a bridge down of Janek's civilians, and they start falling until Master Iko Diodaki gets in there and obviously Lightside style tries to save them. So I think that fan want is going to be a safe bet. This one with Maul and Palpatine having an exchange between those two, highly unlikely, but that's why we're talking about fan desires, wishes, and wants versus what I actually think is going to happen, which will be coming up here in the next few slides. So the last one here, the big one, the biggest fan want, the one that we've been hearing fans talk about since Maul Shadow Lord was announced, and that's a Maul v Vader showdown. So that would be epic. That would be awesome. That'd be something we've never really seen before, outside of, I believe, maybe in some Legends comics, but it would be great to see Palpatine's his initial apprentice and then his current apprentice slave to his mastery of the dark side, Vader. At least if we don't get Maul versus Vader, at least some sort of shadow over the events of Maul Shadow Lord from the Dark Lord of the Sith, aka the fallen Anakin Skywalker, the broken chosen one. At least let us feel Vader's vibe in this first season. I doubt we're going to see a duel between these two this early on in this series, but as a fan, I think we all want to see it. It would be great to see these two go toe-to-toe, and quite frankly, I think it could end in a stalemate, if not Maul getting the upper hand, because Maul still has most of his physical abilities. I mean, yes, he's got a robot lower torso, but unlike Vader, he's not completely broken. He doesn't need a life support system to keep himself going. So Maul could, and Maul's just had more practice at the dark side. You gotta remember, this series at best is 1 to 3 years post the rise of the Empire. So Vader's still kind of a noob dark side user. Yes, he's ultimately powerful because of his background as Anakin, but he's fucked in the head. I mean, he's crazy. He's always hating on Obi-Wan. He's hating on Palpatine. He's still upset about Padme. So Maul could probably get the upper hand this early on in Vader's rise to who we meet in the original trilogy here. Okay, so those are the 9 wants that I believe a lot of Star Wars fans hope to see in Maul Shadow Lord Season 1. So now we're going to get into the predictions. So these are events that I expect to play out in Maul Shadow Lord. Hey there, Salty Dagger 6635. I don't know how to say hello in Germany, but I think I can say thank you. Danke for joining the SWTS live stream as we're breaking down 9 fan wants from Maul Shadow Lord, and now we're about to get into 9 predictions for what is actually going to happen in Shadow Lord Season 1. Hold on, let me check on the chat a little bit here to kind of give me a break and compose my thoughts before we get into the predictions. But it looks like we got... There we go. That's a little bit better. Looks like League's asking something here or making a statement. Wait, Tarkin for sure will make a cameo because he has to make sure the Empire's books are in order. That's right. He is the Empire's accountant. As we learned in Bad Batch, he doesn't like spending money, which never made sense to any of us, because when you're an evil empire and you just take over planets and rape their resources and screw their people over, why are you worried about a budget? Why do you have a ledger? Why are you doing accounting when you are an Imperial? So I guess we'll see if the Great Tarkin shows up. I mean, from the trailers, we know Star Destroyer ends up floating over Janix once Maul causes enough of a commotion there, and the Empire, at least up until this point, has not touched Janix yet. So who's going to be the captain of that Star Destroyer? Is it going to be Tarkin, or is he already kind of moving into his Moff era of his career. All right, let's go through these 9 predictions as we work our way towards the end of this episode of the Star Wars Time Show. And we'll close out right. We'll honor the fans with this week's top 5 Star Wars fan arts features. But first, 9 predictions for Maul Shadow Lord Season 1. All right, up first. The new planet of Janix will be the only location featured. And I think by the end, Maul will have made his mark, and potentially Janix might be kind of his temporary kingdom, if you will, his temporary base of operations. I do have a feeling he's going here because, yes, the Empire's not there, but because we've learned Janix is, it's kind of seedy. It's shady. You know what I mean? It's not on the up and up. They've got security forces, but there's kind of deals between the underworld and the ne'er-do-wells that, like, hey, as long as you don't cause enough of a commotion to bring the Empire here, and you're not just killing people randomly in the streets, you underworld types, you crime lords, you go ahead and do what you got to do. We'll kind of turn a blind eye, like mob bosses paying off police forces, things like that. But a prediction here is I do think Janix is going to be the only location featured throughout this series. You might get glimpses of other locales and flashbacks if we get any of those, or, if there's communications going back between the Emperor and Imperial forces that are more than likely coming to Janix. But unlike a lot of Star Wars series, Bad Batch in particular, or Clone Wars, or even Rebels, where, in one episode you can end up on 3 different planets, I think the bulk of Shadow Lord is going to be all on Janix. So we're going to learn a lot about this new planet and location and the characters that inhabit it. Hey, oh, there you go. Bango's spitting some German in there, salty dagger. We got Stephen Wayne Wenino here. If Maul is already bullying Inquisitors and annihilating NSTs in the trailers, Vader or Palps would be the only escalation stop that makes sense. Yeah, listen, I agree with you, but we know how Palpatine is. I mean, Palpatine isn't going to get his hands dirty at this point in time. At best, he would send Vader if the Inquisitors fail, but they're starting with Marok and the 11th brother, and who knows how far they'll go. And based on some predictions here, they're probably not going to go far enough, because I'll make some sense later on. But yeah, you're not wrong, Steven. I mean, I don't think a battalion of TK units are going to stop Maul. And clearly, I don't think the Inquisitors are going to stop Maul. So do we get a Vader tease at the end of the season? Hopefully. But I think Lucasfilm will be kind of holding their Vader cards tight to their vest or their chest, and might not pop that cherry until future seasons of Shadow Lord. And hopefully we get that. All right, next prediction here for Maul Shadow Lord Season 1. Devin, while I think she's going to kind of tempt fate a bit and work with Maul in some capacity, I don't think by the end of the season she's going to be full-on Maul Sith apprentice. I don't think she's going to fully enter her Darth Talon phase by the end of the season. I think she's still going to have a lot of conflict in her because of other plot events that I think are going to happen to her, or characters that she's may even love or have an emotional bond to, such as Jedi Master Iko Diodaki. So while the trailers hint that she is going to work with Maul in some capacity, I don't think she's going full dark side by the end and bending the knee and pledging her allegiance to Maul. I think there's going to be a little bit of conflict in her still. That's not to say that if we get future seasons, she does kind of fall off that dark side cliff. I don't think we're going to see that full transition in Season 1. I think she's going to stay relatively neutral. She's definitely going to do some things that the Jedi Order would not condone or appreciate, but I don't think she's going to become, full-on bloodthirsty, ravenous, dark side user, essentially saying she's the master of the Force and the Force serves her, like we hear Maul in the latest TV spot. Next prediction, next prediction, if you'll allow me to quit tripping over my own tongue. Brander, who is going to be a captain of the Janix security force, and Two Boots, who is his partner. I think fans may be discounting their importance to this story. I think they're going to play a very important role in Maul's Shadow Lord. And while I think they will start out opposing Maul and trying to capture him and take him down, I'm predicting that by the end of the season, Brander and Two Boots, whether they like it or not, are going to end up working with Maul, teaming up with Maul, if anything, to fight back against the Empire. Because you got to remember, Janix has been untouched so far. You know, if we're a few years past Order 66, the fall of the Republic, the rise of the Empire, you know, it's pretty impressive that Janix has not been occupied by the Empire yet, as we saw in Bad Batch. You know, they were taking over planets left and right and tricking people into, yeah, you need your chain codes, your ship needs codes, it's all in the name of security, blah blah blah. You know, we see that now in world politics. Like, yeah, you know, let's go to war to provide security. It's the same thing that the Empire was spitting to their people in Star Wars. Unfortunately, what we're living through is real, and Star Wars is not. But I could totally see, and I'm predicting, I do think Brander Lawson and Two Boots will. It's probably not something they're going to love to do, but they may have to team up with Maul in some capacity to help fight back against the Imperial occupation of their planet Janix. So let's take this one to the bank, as we like to say around here. There's your reminder again. If anyone's new in here watching, I can't really see numbers. I'm sure they're low because we're losers over here. But just in case you like what you're seeing, my dumb face, my dumb words, consider subbing to the channel. Just click on that button, turn on notifications, like the video, drop a comment. Here we go. Let's move on to the next prediction. All right. So we know for a fact 11th Brother and Marok, they're going to be dispatched by the Empire, maybe Palpatine himself, to take on Maul, to take out Maul on Janix, and to probably teach Janix a lesson for letting Maul kind of make his presence known to the Emperor himself. But my prediction here, and hear me out, I'll explain this. I think both of these Inquisitors are going to die in Maul Shadow Lord. And you're going to be like, Matt, you're stupid, you suck. That makes no sense because we see him in future Star Wars stories. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. You know, we do see the 11th Brother show up in Tales of the Jedi and Ahsoka takes him out. We don't know when that takes place, though. We don't know when that Tales of the Jedi story takes place. It could be taking place before this. But if it takes place after it, hear me out. If you remember when Ahsoka kills the 11th Brother, the motherfucker's head disappears. We know dark side users can't become one with the Force and disappear like light side users, so he's not doing that. Could we argue and kind of validate my prediction here that either Maul or Devin, Jedi Master Iko Diodaki, kills the 11th Brother and he's brought back with, you know, kind of that Night Sister arcane type of magic? Okay, that one might be a stretch for 11th Brother, but let's talk about Marok. We first met Marok in Ahsoka Season 1. And when we saw him, everyone's like, who the hell's that? And, you know, Filoni was being very, you know, he's teasing us. He's like, oh, you know, he is an important character. He has a past history. And we're like, okay, whatever. We've never seen him before. I mean, he definitely looks and moves and has a lightsaber like an Inquisitor, but he was never mentioned with the Inquisitors, even though he's technically the first brother. So hear me out here on this prediction with Marok in particular. And try to remember what happens to him in Ahsoka, the live action Ahsoka Season 1. When she kills him, he literally emits a green Night Sister-like smoke. So it's not too insane to predict that he dies in Maul Shadow Lord, and probably by Maul's own hand. You know what I mean? And he's just resurrected to be used again later in life, many years later in Ahsoka Season 1. Because in Ahsoka season 1, he doesn't really talk anymore. He is kind of zombie-like, and like I said, when she kills him, he puffs into green smoke puffs out of his armor. So I don't think this prediction's too far off. I'm not going to say take this one to the bank, but I could see both of these Inquisitors being taken out in this series, because we never see them in Rebels. And it's like, okay, how do we go from the first brother to the Grand Inquisitor? Why is Marok, why is the 11th brother never featured in Rebels when all the other Inquisitors kind of get showcased there? So I would not be surprised. That's why it's a prediction that these two Inquisitors lose their lives in Shadow Lord and ultimately get resurrected down the road through, that kind of that Force arcane Night Sister style Force magic that has, been heavily canonized at this point in time in the Star Wars franchise. Next prediction here. We know she's in it. We know why she's in it. I mean, Root Cast, she was like Maul's number 1, number 2, number 3 in the Clone Wars. Especially, I think there was a book or a comic book where Rukast and Sargaxon, they're the ones that go and break Maul out of the prison that Palpatine throws him in after he kicks his ass in the Clone Wars. So my prediction here is Rukast is going to be a major player. She's going to be Maul's number 2. Maul is going to respect her. Maul's going to listen to her. Maul's going to trust her more than anyone else in his party, more than even the Zabrak brothers, Icarus and Scorch. But I think the prediction here is Root Cast is going to die. She's going to die in this season, and it's going to further fuel Maul's rage, give him that dark side juice that he needs to accomplish whatever mission of rebuilding up his Shadow Collective, or even better, hopefully the beginning of Crimson Dawn. Losing Root Cast could be a major impetus for him accelerating his plans, getting more aggressive with his plans in this Shadow Lord franchise. So keep an eye out for this one. I think something could happen to Root Cast, but you better bet your ass that she is going to be his main lieutenant. She's going to be the one that he trusts more than anyone else in this series. Maybe bouncing ideas off of strategies, whatnot. But I could see her dying. I know those of you that think she's the armorer for Mandalorian will disagree. I don't think that's who the armorer is, and who knows if we're ever going to get that reveal at this point in time, now that it seems the Mandalorian franchise has shifted to the big screen. So only time will tell, but if Cass dies in this season, that'll definitely kind of put those theories to bed when it comes to the armorer from the Mandalorian. Next prediction we got here. As fan 1, I said, it would be nice to see kind of the start of Crimson Dawn. But I think as far as a prediction, what we'll actually get, I think you'll get hints of it. Crimson Dawn will be teased, but I don't think you're going to get any sort of direct payoff, like, Maul throwing his Crimson Dawn necklace on or brandishing the logo, anything like that. We got Red 6 down. What are we saying here? We're not entitled semicolon to anything. Yeah, you're exactly right. I don't think that's what I'm saying here. We're just saying we're going through what fans want and hope to see versus what we may actually get, and that's what we're in right now. I'm laying down some predictions for season 1 here, so there's no entitlement over here. Trust me, I'm not one of these goofy ass Star Wars fans that gets all upset if things don't play out exactly as their headcanon told them it would. All right. So we will ride the wave. Red 6 down. We will ride the wave with you. But a prediction here, Crimson Dawn teased at best. No real payoff, at least in season 1. If this series does continue in the multiple seasons, then they have to start showing the formation of Dawn and Maul kind of becoming the lead figure in that organization. All right, next prediction here. I'm not gonna toot my own horn over this one, because I think it's pretty obvious that this is going to happen, and that is the fact that Master Iko Diodaki is going to die in Shadow Lord, which is going to, leave Devin susceptible, emotionally distraught, and definitely more open to Maul's teachings, Maul's conniving measures that he's going to use on her to convince her to become his weapon against the Empire. But here's the deal. Here's the prediction. I don't think Maul is going to be the one that kills Iko Diodaki. I think it's going to be the Empire. And the reason I think it's going to be the Empire, that's going to allow Maul to kind of juice up Devin even more. He's going to be like, see what the Empire did to your master? I told you they're bad. I told you need to work with me. We could have saved him if you just listened to me. So I think if the Empire is the faction that takes out Iko Diodaki instead of Maul's forces, it's going to be an even easier sell for Maul to Devin to convince her to like, hey, I'm right. The Empire sucks. They're evil. They're the ones screwing everything up. It's Palpatine and his galactic empire that you need to hate, and you need to help me take them down. He's almost going to make it sound like she's going to be doing the right thing by, tapping into the dark side to exact revenge on the Empire. So, like I said, I don't think it's a surprise that Iko Diodaki is going to perish. I don't think it's going to be Maul killing this Jedi Master. I think it's going to be the Empire. All right. Yeah, Red 6. I know you just joined, but I kind of said the same thing. Devin is an homage to what Lucas was going to do with Darth Talon in the sequel trilogy if Disney and Lucasfilm actually listened to his notes. All right, next prediction here for Maul Shadow Lord Season 1. As I had a fan want where I'd like to see an exchange between Palpatine and Maul, be it Force walkie-talkies or a HoloNet. I know they're not going to meet in person, obviously. But in terms of a prediction for Palpatine, he's not going to directly interact with Maul. It's just not going to happen. Listen, he's too big, bad, and untouchable at this point in time. He's not going to be going out and handling any business on his own. He's going to be using his minions. We know he's going to start with some Imperial forces. He's going to be sending a whole battalion there, a whole Star Destroyer there to occupy Janix because of the Maul mess. But he's not going to directly interact with Maul in the least. I think at this point, Palpatine knows and believes in his heart of heart that Maul is beneath him. Maul cannot undo anything that he has exacted on the galaxy at this point in time. So there's going to be no direct interaction between these former master and apprentice pair. While I hope and would like to see that, even if it's just communicating through the Force and talking smack to each other, I just don't think it's going to happen. Maul is beneath Palpatine, if you will. At best, Palpatine would ultimately dispatch Vader before he ever felt the need to get involved with Maul. So there's not going to be any direct interaction between Darth Sidious and ex-Darth Maul. And the last prediction for Season 1. This is the 9th and final prediction I have for you. I think Vader's presence will be felt, but it's mostly going to be off screen. Maybe some you might hear some chatter about the Dark Lord of the Sith or Vader, but I don't think he's going to appear at all. I think if we get multiple seasons of Shadow Lord, they're going to be holding the Vader card for that. I don't think they're going to blow their load, if you'll allow me to use that expression, in Season 1. At best, it could be, an end of season cliffhanger where Palpatine's like, Lord Vader, I need you on Janix. And that's it. And then we got to wait for Season 2. In my heart of hearts, I don't think they're going to bring out the big boy quite so early. Think about Rebels. I don't think Vader showed up until Season 2. They used the Inquisitors. The Grand Inquisitor was kind of the big bad of Rebels Season 1. So I think that it'll be a very similar approach here in Maul Shadow Lord, where You'll feel Vader's presence. You may get hints that he's around or he's being mentioned, but I don't think we're going to see him on the screen. And if we do, at best, or even I hope, because I think it would be good storytelling, it's saved for maybe an epilogue or a post credit or like an end of season stinger. Like, hey, we need to break out the big guns. Let's go ahead and get the chosen one out there to try to handle Maul. Because if you think about it, if Maul and Vader do interact, we know from future canon, specifically Solo and Rebels, that Maul's going to survive that interaction, which would just kind of cheapen Vader. Although, I made the arguments earlier, this is still early Vader. He is definitely not at his full potential yet. He is not the mega all-powerful monster that we meet in the original trilogy. But I don't know. Like I said, I don't think Filoni's going to go ahead and bust out the Vader card this early on in Shadow Lord. So that kind of wraps my predictions for Maul Shadow Lord Season 1. So if you just tuned in, catch the replay. I did 9 fan once. Things fans hope to see, have been speculating. They'll see, what you might find on a Reddit forum. And then I laid down my 9 predictions. And these are things that I actually think will play out in Maul Shadow Lord Season 1, dropping on April 6th, Disney Plus. It's a Monday, people. And that kind of caught me by surprise. It's a Monday. We've been used to Tuesday drops, so make sure to mark your calendar for Monday coming up. Probably around 9 p. East, Disney Plus. We're going to get episode 1 and 2 of Maul Shadow Lord. All right. Bango, like I said, Bango's asking on the stream here, is there a specific time? If they follow suit, it should be 9 p. East. Now, in the past, I think they've done like surprise early releases where they might drop it a day early. I think they did that with Ahsoka, or they might drop it a few hours early. But if we're following their usual schedule and just streaming TV shows in general, it's probably going to be 9 p.m. East on April 6th. Okay, I'm starting to run out of gas here. Let's start wrapping up this episode of the SWTS. I'm not going to say goodbye yet. If you're new here, we always close out with the fan segment, and we'll probably be bringing back a fan question of the week. This is where I'll post a question on our socials, so find us on Instagram, on X. If you like Discord, we have an open Discord server in the description of this video. You can kind of join in and hang out with us in between shows. But we are probably going to return to the question of the week once we start doing our live breakdowns of Maul Season 1 starting next Wednesday. Hopefully around 6 p. East. I'll let everyone know on our usual social blast next week once I hear from young Nick. I've been checking our Slack and I have not seen any reply yet because that's how Nick rolls. Nick's on his own schedule. He's on his own time. He's never on Star Wars time, if you catch my drift. But like I said, we always have a fan segment to close out an episode of the SWTS, and that's always going to include the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. So the way to get involved in this is all done through Instagram. Make sure you're following us on Instagram at StarWarsTime.show. And anytime you share Star Wars creations, things you've made, be it, a lot of our stuff we honor in the top 5 is usually toy photography, but it doesn't have to be. It could be traditional art. It could be poo sculptures, stick figures, stop motion. Use hashtag Star Wars Time Show, but more importantly, do that ad tag at StarWarsTime.show on anything you want us to see and consider for the top 5. So either myself or young Nick will pick their top 5 and throw it out there to close out an episode of the Star Wars Time Show. So here we go. Without further ado, here is this week's top 5. All right, up first, and I had to do it. We had to include some form of Maul art in this week's top 5, and we have a great shot here from geek_toys_arts on Instagram of Maul holding his fallen brother Savage, letting out a scream, crying and just feeling all emotional over the death of Savage, which, we saw play out in the Clone Wars. But it's just a great setup here from Geek Toys Arts. Love the expression on Maul. Love the addition of tears and him looking up to the sky and screaming. I like the eyes on Savage are kind of rolled back to really show that he has passed on. He is not one with the Force, but he is definitely dead. So good shot here from geek_toys_arts over on Instagram. Go ahead and give them a follow if you like what you see. Up next, we got a great little scene. Hey, maybe a potential spoiler scene from the Mandalorian Grogu from Mando_mugshots on Instagram. And it's kind of a funny one. You've got two stormtroopers and a scout trooper, looking for a pest of sorts. There's some sort of commotion going on, and we can see that behind the crate, that commotion is being caused by none other than Din Grogu himself and two Anzalin mechanics, who are, again, causing a distraction in an attempt to potentially get away from these stormtroopers, or they're hiding from these stormtroopers, taking target practice and missing, of course, on some junk laying on the floor. So I just like seeing the little diminutive characters there hiding from the evil forces of the Empire. So quality shot from Mando_mugshots on Instagram. Up next in this week's top 5, we have, I think, a first-time honoree, a first-time top 5 feature, and this is Action_Nova. I wonder if it's any relation to longtime SWTS fan Nova Toymation. Either way, this is a kick-ass shot. It's taking place during the Clone Wars. You've got Captain Rex back-to-back with General Skywalker. Captain's got his two pistols pulled out. Anakin's got his lightsaber blazed. And they're taking on some B-1 Roger battle droids. So, cool little action scene here. Great use of practical effects. Great lightsaber render in post. Just a cool Clone Wars era shot from Action_Nova on Instagram. Next up in this week's top 5, we got a great shot of the Mandalorian himself and, the girl I kind of think he does have something for, right? Remember, he told Bo-Katan in Mando Season 3, like, hey, I'll always be there for you. I'll always protect you. I love you, Bo. I love you. But anyways, you got this shot from Gundam224U over on Instagram, and you've got Mando and Bo. They're in a forest setting. You got some, cool little lens flares in here. It's just a good looking shot from Gundam224U over on IG. So quality work there from this artist. Make sure to give him a follow on IG if you are not already. And last but certainly not least, we have a banger of a traditional art piece from Talon_illustrations on Instagram. And it looks like Rex, and damn it, I can't believe the red clone commander is escaping my memory right now. I am ashamed of myself. Is that Fox, right? Yeah, it's Fox, isn't it? Commander Fox, the red one that kind of takes out fives in the Clone Wars. Either way, their names don't really matter. What matters is the quality of this drawing and the coloring of this drawing from Talon_illustrations. It's just a kick-ass drawing, and there's a reason it's got 3,000, almost 4,000 likes on it. So if you're not already following Talon_illustrations on IG, why don't you go ahead and consider giving them a follow? And while we're following people, if you're new here, one more shameless plug. Why don't you consider following the Star Wars Time Show on YouTube? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, drop a comment, turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our content. You're going to get typically at least one episode of Star Wars Time Show a week, and then in between shows, you'll get clips from past shows shared on YouTube Shorts. So give it a try. If you really like what you see, which Doesn't always happen. We do have our diehards in here, like the Bangos and the Leagues and the Kramers of the world. We would love for you to consider becoming a channel member, which you can also do down below. Just hit that join button. You can join for as low as $1.99, and you'll get access to the Vader cat next to your name in YouTube live stream chats. But more importantly, you'll get the use of custom Star Wars Time Show emojis to use, and we are going to be updating that emoji set for the run of Maul Shadow Lord with a Maul themed emoji. So if you can fork out $2 a month, it will not be wasted on the SWTS crew. All right, there we go, League. Thank you as always, helping me sell the membership. There are some of the emojis you can drop. We got the Vader trophy head, Grogu drinking beer. We got a Leia, we got an Ahsoka, we got Tic Tac Thrawn, and as I said, soon to be added Maul to be used for our Shadow Lord breakdowns. And like I said, speaking of those breakdowns, Nick and I should both be back doing live streams for the next 5 weeks as we break down all 10 episodes of Maul Shadow Lord, starting next Wednesday, which is what, April 8th, something like that. So tune in. I'm not sure of our kickoff time. I'm hoping it's still going to be our usual 6 p. East, or as close as we can get it on youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. But if that changes, I'll make sure to communicate through our other social platforms. So get in the know. Follow the Star Wars Time Show. Look at that. I can even rhyme. I'm awesome. And so are all of you for sticking around and supporting the Star Wars Time Show. Remember, there's always time for Star Wars time. Everyone needs a Star Wars podcast, or just a geek-related podcast for a more uncivilized age, because surely we are living in one. And don't forget to tell new potential SWTS fans, if they listen to the Star Wars Time Show, if they consume the Star Wars Time Show in any capacity, the Force will be with them always.